As you start to listen, you may begin to notice the idea. It isn't just about the problem at hand, but about how you frame the situation. In fact, it's really quite fascinating how our mind works when we understand how beliefs form, how they influence behaviour, and how, once we recognise that, we can begin to shift them. It's almost like stepping back and seeing a whole new world of possibilities. Let me walk you through it. Imagine, if you will, a belief, like the price is too high. You might think, well, that's the reason I'm not getting what I want. But here's the twist. It's not really the price that's too high. What if the reason you're saying it's too high is because you haven't figured out how to obtain what you truly desire yet? Just think about that. You can begin to see how the belief you hold about the price to really just point to something deeper, the strategy you haven't discovered yet. And doesn't that change everything? You've just unlocked a new perspective, a new way to look at it. It's like when you compare things, isn't it? You might believe the price is too high, and then you look at what others charge, offering far less in return. Now, isn't it interesting how when you reframe it that way, the too high price suddenly doesn't seem so high anymore? It's all about how you compare things, what you're comparing, and why you choose to see it in that way. It's like when you ask yourself, what's the real cost here? And how does it compare to what I'm getting? You begin to ask more empowering questions. And in asking these questions, you might begin to see things a bit differently. And then you start to see the cause and the effect from the new angle. You start breaking things down into smaller, manageable pieces. For instance, let's take something like heart disease, a topic so many believe is just the way things are. People often think heart disease causes death because they've seen it happen, or even experienced it firsthand. But here's where it gets interesting. What if heart disease doesn't cause death at all? What if it's the lack of a proper diagnosis, the absence of an effective treatment that really causes death? What if we redefine the cause and effect? And you can apply this to anything, heart disease, death, or even something as simple as deciding whether something is too expensive. What if there's more to the story than just what's immediately visible? You see, heart disease, it isn't necessarily about the disease itself. It's often about things like genetics, the way a person processes fat in their body. In fact, some people live with heart disease for years without dying from it. And now you've just changed the story completely. It's the same with the things we think about ourselves, our circumstances, and our beliefs. When we break down those old beliefs into pieces and ask ourselves, what if there's a different way to look at this? What if I'm missing something? You're already beginning to process the shift. You're beginning to see things from new angles. It's like a whole new world opens up for you. Sometimes all it takes is one question to change the course of everything. What else could this mean? What else is possible? It's like peeling back layers, finding a new perspective. That's the beauty of beliefs. They're not as fixed as we think. And once you understand that, once you start questioning the old patterns, you open up new ways of thinking. And in that process, you begin to realise you're not stuck at all. You just need to find a different angle, a new strategy, and then it all starts falling into place. When you truly understand that, you begin to see how easily you can shift things around, not just for yourself, but for others. This is why it's not so much about learning every technique. It's about understanding the patterns and seeing how they connect. And once you know how they connect, you can start weaving them together, just like an artist would. You're using your mind, your language, your questions to create new realities. And the more you play with these ideas, these questions, the more natural it becomes. And you don't need to know everything. It's not about trying to learn everything, because that would overwhelm you. Instead, focus on what resonates with you, what comes most naturally. Because when you use what feels good to you, you begin to see the effects immediately. And here's the thing, as you start noticing patterns, whether in yourself or in others, you start to understand what's beneath the surface. It's like learning how to read between the lines of life itself. You'll start recognizing those patterns, and you'll see how beliefs are formed. They could be altered, changed, shifted, like a fluid dance. The structure of the belief itself, that's where the magic happens. And just think about it. When you break down a belief and shift the cause, the effect, or the meaning, you've already taken a massive step. You're like a sculptor chiseling away the stone, uncovering the shape beneath. That's how easy it is to start changing everything, by asking yourself the right questions, reframing the cause and effect, and understanding the deeper layers of meaning. When you break it down to the core, when you start seeing how the pieces fit together, you realise it isn't about memorising techniques. It's about creating new possibilities, seeing things from a new perspective, and finding the freedom to choose your beliefs instead of being stuck with the old ones. Once you can do that, well, it's as if the whole world opens up to you. And so you may ask yourself, what's possible for you once you begin to question the beliefs that you've held for so long? What's possible when you start asking new questions and finding new solutions? What's possible when you start to redefine the cause, effect, and the meanings you've always believed? The moment you start doing that, you're stepping into a whole new world, a world of unlimited possibilities.